Hello. Good afternoon. I almost said good morning. It is 1:02 p.m. in the East Coast. It is not the morning. We have our special guest back, and I think we can tell people that you'll be here for the remainder of the
Yeah.
episode. Yeah. Yay! I have convinced her. I wrote a lot of letters. I sent a lot of DMs, and she was like, "Okay, fine, Ashley. I'll stay on the show if you want me to." And I sent all the nice things that everyone said in the chat and in the Discord. So, Jess, we appreciate you being back here for the show again. We love having you.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for being so nice to me in the chat, guys. You guys got me back, so I appreciate it. It worked. No,
See,
this will be fun. I'm excited.
this is how chat gets you, right? So everyone's like nice to you at first because they think it's cool, and then chat gets a little bullyish sometimes. They like to
Then
be
they
right,
turn on you.
and they turn on you. They're like, "Wow,
It's all
you should
right.
really just chug that Red Bull, and I'll give you 5 gifted subs or something." I'm like, "Oh, interesting." So
Oh no. Oh no. I'm afraid I'd take that.
you're like, "You don't even have to give me anything. I'll just chug the Celsius."
Yeah, right. I'll be like, twist my arm.
It's funny. We were also joking right before the show started because Jess is having her Celsius. I'm drinking my Red Bull, and our producer Rachel was drinking her Monster, and I was like, what fuels NASCAR? The Celsius, the Red Bull, and the Holy Spirit of Monster. Amen.
Amen.
And those are our big sponsors.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, we like to have a little moment of prayer before we start the stream to get us prepared, to get us in the right mindset. No, that is kind of funny though. We're well represented. We're well-rounded gals.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Chat would like to remind you that we lower you into a false sense of security, that it's a trap.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Just like everybody else in my life. Just kidding. That was dramatic.
You're like, that's a little bit of a. We'll talk about that in therapy next week. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, this isn't therapy. This is race talk.
We will. Ooh, I'm a little quiet. Okay, I will make myself louder. Hello, YouTube. There we go. I think I fixed it. We have a lot of folks in the YouTube. Thoughts on the Watkins Glen SVG Busher battle at the end? I thought it was good. I mean, we'll talk about it more, but I liked it. I like that SVG is not butthurt when someone does it back to him when he pushes people out of the way. That was a good battle.
Yeah, no doubt about that. To be honest with you, like, I was really happy to see somebody oust SVG on that road course. Now, don't get me wrong, like, I love seeing him be successful, but over the last couple weeks, it's been apparent that he's still very much learning in this race car. I mean, we saw him in Atlanta, like, just full-blown scrape the wall, which it happens. Like, there's no, fault to that. But I think it was nice then to see him kind of come out there and not just absolutely dominate a road course. It showed that he's going to still have to work as he moves up here in the series. So, and of course, obviously, like, thrilled for Busher. We can talk a little more about that later, but
Yeah, I had other beef with the Cup race, but we can definitely get to that. And the Xfinity race. I have the same beef among both races, but it's funny because I say this on like my watch alongs. So it's like, we are professional drivers. What are we doing on these restarts? But we will burn that bridge when we talk about it.
I saw somebody respond to something on my Instagram and they were like, right turn bad. And it just made me laugh. I was like, honestly, that's how I felt a lot of the times watching this race. Like, it was like, yeah, right turn bad. That is bad.
And everyone's like, yeah, run the boot. And I was like, they can't even handle the non-boot. What are you talking about?
Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that.
We need to do a restart. Marcus from the YouTube says, I predict that Christopher Bell will win this weekend at Bristol Saturday night in the championship in 2024. Oh, nice. Funny enough, Jess, you have to do this. So I wrote who I think will be my final four at Phoenix.
Oh, God.
Quote unquote NASCAR. Our producer at the time / the script writer wrote who they think will be the final four as well. So I had Blaney, Elliott, Hamlin, and Larson. NASCAR, writing the script, jokingly, wrote Larson, Bell, Reddick, and Blaney. So if you want to get back to us in your final four, let us know.
Yeah, I feel like you could have asked me that before this weekend, because I would have had a solid answer before this weekend, but like after Watkins Glen, I was like, well, hell if I know. Harrison Burton at this point, like, goodness. I don't know. And it's just we'll talk about it. This playoffs have been wild. This is the thing that everybody loves and hates about this whole playoff system,
Right.
that we work with. Like, it's like fully on display, and it just depends on how you feel about it, whether you're like, this is awesome, or you're like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's tough, but let me think on it. I'll get back to you.
Kamikaze in the Twitch chat says Final Four is definitely Hamlin, Burton, Suarez, and Cindric. I mean, look at the Suarez Cindric. It's like what plus 36 plus something plus 26. I'll look at the thing in a second, but yeah, Suarez and Cindric are pretty clutch to the points right now.
Cindric kicked it up here at the end of the regular season going into the playoffs. And to be honest with you, I was happy to see that as well because Austin Cindric's a talented driver, and it was nice to be able to see him kind of prove his right to be in the playoffs, and it wasn't just some fluke win or whatever at Pocono.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was happy to see that, but yeah, definitely was not expecting to see him above some of the drivers that he's above right now in the playoff standings, but nuts.
The non-playoff drivers strike back. Yeah, you have a new hope. Non-player drivers strike back, and then we'll see what the last and final, the last and final.
Bristol.
Oh gosh, for the round of 12.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts on Alex Bowman?
I love those questions. I like when people are like, "Thoughts on this?" And I'm like, like, I'm not sure how you want me to respond. Thoughts on Alex Bowman?
I think he's a nice guy. No, I'm kidding. I think I do think he's a nice guy, but no, I actually had an interview with Alex in the Jack Daniels Club on Sunday, so it was kind of like a VIP, very chill, like very chill interview for like 15 so minutes. And we just chatted about how he was feeling about the day and about life and all that. And Alex is somebody who I feel like he's been going through a lot in the past couple months in regards to the pressure from everybody about, performing and keeping his ride and all this. And despite the fact that he's like shut all of those rumors down, people are still continuing to put that on him. So I felt like he was surprisingly confidently calm on Sunday, like sometimes he tends to be a little self-deprecating and a little just, inward, but I could feel this confidence from him, and I think that really does stem from the fact that he's been running incredibly well, especially in comparison to some of his other teammates here in the last couple weeks. So I think if he can keep consistency on the racetrack, especially at tracks that he hasn't necessarily liked, like Watkins Glen was not a track that he really cared for much. So I think if he can continue that and keep up some of this off-track, good-spirited confidence, he could be a surprising danger here in the playoffs. We'll see.
Yeah, so he was P4 in March's Bristol race. So this weekend should be a good weekend for him.
Yeah.
I mean, someone mentioned that he's been killing it since those rumors of him getting a seat have been taken out. I would argue that he's been a good driver before those rumors came out and no one noticed. It was just easy to can't curse on here. Easy to poop on someone who
Oh, we
gets
can't
into
curse
this
on here?
consistency.
Noted.
Yeah, I know. I always stop myself. It's easy to talk badly about a driver who's not always consistent. I'm not saying that he's the best ever that there ever was. He's always getting top fives, blah blah blah. But he's not a bad driver. And understands why he has those, why he's in the team that he is. When everyone's like, oh, they should go for someone else. It's like we've had this discussion before, who would they go, etc. So, I am not surprised. And of course, he'd keep his seat. And I don't know why those rumors started this year because he's been signed on for the next year forever since like February, at least that's been reported by Bob. So,
And I think he may have touched on this last week, but I think I love it. And I'll mention it again. The fact that he straight up was like, no, to the media, he was like, you guys got so much in my head that I just picked up the phone and called Hendrick and was like, yo, boss man, do I have a job still? And he was like, yeah, of course, like your contract says you do. So I just love that, it's a love-hate relationship with the fact that, holy cow, they got that much in his head that he had to like pick up the phone and call his boss and be like, we're good, right? You're not mad at me, are you? Like a like a girlfriend. But at the same time, it's like, I love that he just straight up did that. It was like, shut it down. Okay, now we're gonna go compete for playoffs. Let's kick it.
I respect it because before you talk too much, smack on the internet, you have to have receipts and just double check yourself because you could be like, of course I have a ride, and he's like, wait, let me confirm before I talk a lot of smack on on social media and to the media. Call the boss real quick. I'm good, right? Okay, cool.
I'm good, right? Okay.
Just
you guys, yeah. Like it's just like immediately he's able to come back and be like, "You're wrong. I was right. Now get off my back." So,
the fact that Hendrick got asked that during the Larson double announcement is insane. Yeah, which is weird because I think they asked about that also beforehand and they already dispelled it. And Hendrick's like, "Guys, can we? Please stop talking about this." Unnecessary. Going into the next round of news and stuff that we have, Parker Kligerman announced that this is going to be his last year full time in Xfinity. So that was kind of unexpected to me. I didn't hear any inklings of it, and just thought he'd be continuing next year in the 48 and such. I just never really thought about it until he posted it, so that was kind of surprising.
I am very interested to talk to Parker about this decision because I thought the same thing initially. I was like, "Oh wow, that caught me off guard. I didn't hear, I hadn't heard anything about this." But then, and this is all just complete speculation on my end of like how I view the situation. This is not, in talking to Parker. I do want to hear from him. But you start to think and you go, okay, there's so much change going on right now in the broadcasting world, in the broadcasting side of things. I wonder if he felt like personally he got to a point where it's like kids when you're playing sports when you're a kid and you're like, I want to do it all, and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I do have to pick one though, because things are getting to be like I have to pick a lane. And I don't know if that's necessarily like the case, but I do have to wonder with all the change that's going on in the broadcasting world if he was like, look, I got to commit to really driving full time, or I got to really like throw myself into wherever this could take me. I don't know. I'm interested to talk to him, but I'm excited to see what he does from here because he's very talented, both on and off the racetrack.
I think we're working on getting Parker on the show, so I know we can definitely talk about this. And this is just my assumption, right? I do not know. I'm sure I can send him a DM on Instagram and ask, but this is my assumption: is he works really hard in getting those sponsors and doing sponsorship stuff and doing the grind. Right? He's been debuted in NASCAR 2009, 19 years old. Been here for a long time, went through ARCA, went through trucks, Xfinity, kicking butt, doing his best. Again, need a lot of sponsorship. You got to make everyone happy. Then he's also doing the broadcasting. I know he'd love to drive. And again, he's not saying he wouldn't do one-off races if someone were to ask him, or he's able to
For
secure
sure.
one-off races, definitely more than able to. But securing sponsorship full-time is difficult. Like, I think people forget that unless you're coming from big names or and such, it's just hard to get that full-time sponsorship. And like I don't know, I don't say begging because that sounds like a negative connotation, but these drivers are putting everything out there all the time and emailing and networking and shaking hands and kissing babies. It's like at some point he's like, I'm good at this broadcasting thing. I can bring a unique perspective as a driver. I've heard only positive feedback from fans from NBC, etc., about what I do. I love also doing this as much as I love driving. If I'm able to drive, great. I think this is I think I just want to take the broadcasting route right now.
And I think you're absolutely right about not counting out some one-offs here and there, because I think that's a lot of what makes him so unique and so strong as a broadcaster as well, is that his ability to translate, what the drivers are going through in that moment, as one of the most recent people on pit road to be in and out of a race car. So I definitely think that he will continue to do that to like keep that, strength, for lack of a better word, on pit road. But but at the end of the day, I can imagine that was an incredibly difficult decision. That's tough,
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's still thinking about it now. He's like, "Oh, did I make the right one?" I just think broadcasting's more consistent. It's just more of consistent based income. They need a broadcasting, and you're signed up for a contract, and you're welcome to do it. And it's like he's like, he knows what he's talking about, and he's able to again bring that unique perspective. And I like having him on the broadcast, especially when he does his stereotypical touching the asphalt.
Yeah. Yes. It's
Horizon.
raining, it's wet. Yeah. I will say on the flip side, this does make me very, very excited though to see how he finishes out this season on the racetrack. I think Parker, like the mentality, like we see it, he's on the hunt, he's hungry, and then you add this added layer of wanting to go out strong. I think it's going to be really fun to watch that team individually, like really go out there and push, make some moves.
Yeah, agreed. All right. What is
Somebody pointed out I do feel a bit like a Kyle Petty fangirl today, given my hat choice, and then the fact that I kind of forget this back here. They pointed out my mellow yellow car. So this is actually plot twist. It is a phone. So if you need me to call your mom,
I'm gonna do it on this phone.
I can do it on right here. Me and Kyle.
42.
Got you. So yeah. I do love Kyle. However, I am not a Kyle Petty fangirl, but I appreciate you that you appreciating my desk decor. Thank you. Maybe I'll switch that out. I don't have any more phones. Well, I have more phones, more vintage phones, which oddly enough, but I'll switch out different die casts maybe. Keep you on your toes.
Your cell phone. Yeah, the sight line I've ever seen for sure. Replacing Parker announced this morning. Nick Sanchez in the 48 in the big machine, so that'll be good. So I mentioned another rookie, and I understand the definition of rookie, like X number of races, but he's raced in the 48 before, 6 races in 2022. So familiar with a little bit of it. So it's I can see why they went towards Nick Sanchez. Some people are surprised that they went with
Mhm.
another rookie, but you got to start somewhere. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Nick Sanchez, he's an ARCA champion, like, lest we forget. I think that he's somebody that, because he had a couple years there from his consistent arc, not almost a couple years, that's strong, maybe like a year or something, like 2 years, from his consistent ARCA success into getting this full-time Xfinity ride, or for whatever reason, people maybe there's a little disconnect there, but I do think he's somebody to not, turn it I don't know what the phrase is, to not ignore, I guess, but because I think he does bring a lot of talent, and having the consistency time I think will do a lot for him, so don't count him out. I think it'll be fun to see what he can do.
I miswrote in my notes, but his best finish at that time in the 48 in 2022 was the 7 in Martinsville. I think the worst was 29th in Bristol. But again, in the context, people getting yeeted out during the Bristol race, so also partially not his fault in 2022. So people have been saying that he doesn't have the most consistent season in trucks, but 11 top 10s out of 16. I would say that's pretty good.
Okay, and not to be that person,
Lay it on me.
but
Do it. Be that
how
person.
how how I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to get better about thinking about what I'm going to say before I start speaking, because
Dangerous.
I tend to just start. It's not even dangerous. It's more just like sad for everybody else because they're all sitting there like while I'm trying to like get my thoughts together. How reasonable in this day and age is consistency in the truck series?
Okay. Fair.
I recognize that that's probably a fine line, but I just think we all need to also like recognize how some of these races are, and consistent finishes don't necessarily, where you finish in the truck series these days does not necessarily equivalent to how you run in that series.
I was there for the Trucks Championship race in Phoenix last year, and, by there, I meant I was there for hours, and we didn't leave all till, like, 1 AM. I think that is a hard agree, and the fact that he's gotten 11 top 10s out of 16 and has survived the races of attrition that is trucks, to your point, pretty good. We can move him up to Xfinity and see how he does, and then decide from there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Correct.
do you think you'll see more drivers skip trucks to go to Xfinity? Um, I
I
mean,
do.
Nick didn't skip trucks, but you do? Why? What's the
I take
concern
that
based
back.
on
I think a couple things. I think that it's going to depend on what system of driving they come, what series they come from necessarily, like what pipeline they're coming up from, but I do think that a lot of guys, if they're coming up through this late model route, that they're going to jump more into an Xfinity car, and I do think as well that the jump from a truck to an Xfinity car versus the Xfinity car to the Cup car, now they're all different, but there's an easier time. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That like skip truck, skip the learning curve there and get them right into the Xfinity car. I also, though, think there's something to say about paying attention to what manufacturer a lot of these guys are kind of in with, and that shows you the pipeline, because there's not always necessarily the best route in Xfinity for maybe like a Toyota necessarily. So I think you got to pay attention to that. But I think we're going to see less and less young guys, go into trucks.
that's a good point, or vice versa, hosts of our skipping Xfinity.
Yeah. I mean, I think it all also just depends on the person. But I mean, I don't want to sit here and just kind of like crap on the truck series.
Oh, Zane
But
Smith. What?
yeah, Zane Smith's another one. I just think as well, like again, it goes back to the unpredictability of that series right now, the instability on the racetrack. I think a lot of guys like a little more control of their destiny in the Xfinity series equipment.
Oh,
That'd
and
be my
teams
guess.
too. You don't want to keep fixing equipment time after time after time again. You're like, I'm going to invest in running, cleaning, Xfinity, and Cup instead. Yeah, just the money overall. Famous makes a good point. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a lot of cash. Well, speaking of trucks, Corey Day will be running. We'll debut in the Truck Series this Thursday, and in 4 events. He's going to be here in Bristol, then Kansas, Homestead, and Martinsville. So, I think that'll be really, that'll be interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, I
Um,
love it anytime we can get new people in here. especially other people that bring big followings like that from different facets of racing. I think is really cool.
7 wins in 46 races in the high limit racing thus far in 2024. Currently 5th in the standings, and he also had the $100,000 win trophy cup at Silver Dollar Speedway in California for the high limit racing sprint car
100K.
series. So,
That's all.
yeah, chump change,
Just
right?
quick 100K.
That's actually my wallet right now, so I'm surprised that he would race for that and like leave the house for
Yeah, for real. He got off the couch for 100K.
Minimum $1 million.
No, that's amazing to think about. Like I love bit races like that when the prize is that. It's like holy cow.
I know.
It's amazing.
Do they put the money in the trophy so it's like spilling out when you get it? That'd be fun.
That would be fun. I would want like fake bills shot out of cannons, like
gun.
confetti cannons. Yeah. Like $1 million bill style, like Winston Million style, just fake money everywhere.
I actually want the Martinsville clock filled with my prize winnings. That's the dream. Forget telling time. Maybe also secret an ATM so that the clock is the ATM and like we'll figure this out.
It's one of those toy machines that you have at the arcade where you gotta spin it and then the money drops down through the clock and then you have to open each individual little bubble and then you pull out $1. Just a thought.
If anyone wants to double down on these thoughts, just contact the show. Thank you so much. Moving on, Dale Jr. racing at Bristol Xfinity. Not the first time he's done it. Did last year, but last year not his fault. Electrical issue. Got a fire beneath the steering column. So was it the final 30 laps or so?
Yeah, he ran the most of the race. Like he was able to. Yeah,
he was.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Look, Junior could go out there and do whatever the heck Junior wants to do, and I just love the fact that he's out there, and so does everybody else. I feel like at Bristol, night race at Bristol, I'm so glad that he continues to do this. All of the the way that Bristol's able to take it and advertise it and everybody get excited about it, and I just think I love it. It makes me excited. I won't be there this weekend, but I am very jealous of everybody that will get to see this. It just brings in a whole different energy, having somebody like Junior back in the field and just back at the racetrack.
In his interview last year before Bristol, he was just saying he doesn't want to cause issues for anybody. He's like, I don't want to cost anyone like any championship stuff or point stuff. I don't want people to be like, oh, Junior shouldn't be running if he's going to be running like this. So he's like, I didn't cause any issues. The fire wasn't my fault. Right? Like we got out of the way and nothing happened because of me. So he just wants to run a clean race, and it's interesting to see how much. I think he is universally loved. I don't think I've ever seen anyone say anything negative about Dale Jr. Trying to think.
I think for the most part, he's pretty universally loved. I mean, everybody's got haters, right? I mean, there's people that even hate Dolly Parton, and I could never understand that. But like, I just think that for the most part, he is pretty well loved. Especially, I will say too, I think the reason that he does have so much universal love is the way that he continues to pour back into the sport in the nature that he does, and continuing to build talent, and not just build talent, but what he's done with the Cars Tour. So it's not just about Dale. What Dale has done then gives return back into continuing to build racing, and I think that's why people really love and respect him. So, but to your point, yeah, I mean, I think he wants to run Bristol. He wants to continue to come back. It's really unfortunate that that's the regular season finale, so he's got to be extra careful, as team owner, being out there, to not mess with anything.
Yeah, that's a good point as team owner, but I believe Justin Allgaier won last year, so it was all good on that end. He didn't ruin anyone's race, so it was all set. And yeah, that's a good point. He pours back into the sport. He cares, and he doesn't sugarcoat a lot of things. Also, I'm gonna take my one curse and then apologize. Just don't be an asshole, and that's Dale Jr. I mean, I think he's just nice to everyone, or at least respects everyone enough where he's just common courtesy, loves the sport, wants to see it do well, and it's like, great, that's all you can really have. Like, that's the bare minimum of anyone. So love that he's racing, and a lot of, like you said, a lot of people will come out and see him for it. I know a lot of people come out to see Valentino Rossi when he races like GT World Challenge Europe, because from his MotoGP days. And his MotoGP days, he still just has his own merch stands. Even though he's no longer racing MotoGP, there'll still be merch stands for the doctor, right? And that Valiello. So I think with Dale Jr., it's the same way in NASCAR, where if he just shows up, people are like, yes, stoked, still selling merch, Dale Jr. merch. Everyone's just like, yes, we respect you. You're doing a lot for the sport, and we appreciate that. So, does it
It's Bristol, baby. You gotta have
It's
tailback.
Bristol, maybe. Fade in
Bristol,
the
baby.
YouTube makes sense. A hater is just a motivator in reverse, especially with women in male-dominated industries. That's true. That's true. Every day I wake up and crack my knuckles, waiting to see what man tells me I don't know anything about motorsports. That's my favorite.
You ever wake up and feel uninspired? So you're like, you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna read my DM requests.
No,
That'll do
we
it.
didn't go there. We
That'll
didn't
light
go
that fire under my. I'm taking my one curse ass today. So
No, we don't go in that folder. It's scary. I make my significant other go in that folder. I was like, you deal with this. I don't want to
I
see
don't
what's
do
in
that.
it.
Yeah, it's like a once a quarter thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm reminded why I don't.
I'm feeling too good about myself. Let me go in this folder. Actually, humble myself a little, and we'll see what happens.
That's what I say about being at the racetrack. And you're like, do you ever walk at the racetrack and you're like, it's a beautiful day, like I'm feeling good, and then the pack of monster girls walks by and you're like, cool. You're like, suddenly I'm aware of how much I'm sweating, and I didn't know that, and yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'm suddenly super hyper conscious of me sweating. I wore the wrong jeans.
Yeah, right? I'm wearing a lanyard like a loser. Like, it's just like part of the look, but then you see them and you're like, oh,
I'm
forgot,
only
sorry.
5'3". I
Thanks,
can
ladies.
control
Yeah.
that.
I wasn't even gonna go there. Like, I look like a little boy sometimes with the way I dress, but like, you know what? That's neither here nor there. Like, I was feeling great, but that's okay. Have a great day, ladies. Thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
but they're so nice, and then they give me free stuff, so I can't be mad. I'm
They're
very.
so nice. That's the worst part. They're so
I know that's their
nice.
job, everybody. I know that's their job. Before you start angrily typing, by the way, the monster girls don't love you. They're just nice, okay? That's part of the job. Before you slide into their DMs and request favors.
That needs to be the PSA to like literally everybody. Hey everybody, the monster girls don't like you. It's their job.
Thousands of hearts crushing right now.
Yeah, I just heard them all, including Ty Gibbs. They all just
no.
Just kidding. That's my favorite thing though. When he's on the grid, he's got all the girls around him. I just like it. Just cracks me up. It's just so not his. Like it just doesn't fit.
Yeah,
love it.
He's just like, I want to be respectful, and I'm just a stand
That's
here and like not.
Yeah. He just kind of stands there. There's all these like ladies around him. Like it just makes me laugh. He's like.
And lastly, CW will broadcast the Xfinity races starting this weekend at Bristol, FYI. So just a reminder, if you haven't seen the paint schemes on the cars 100 times, CW will have Xfinity. And I got to shout out Bob Pockrass. I mean, I got to always shout out Bob because he's the best. But he was doing the work on Twitter because he tweeted that, I think, yesterday. And everyone's like, what does that mean? What is cable? Like, we somehow forgot what cable is in our 2024 year of Dolly Parton. This man works for Fox, and he has no reason to tell people how to watch the CW races, but he's in there doing the work, answering people's questions about every single thing. So CW is on Xfinity, which means no streaming unless your provider has an app. So it won't be on the CW app. It won't be on Peacock. It won't be on NBC Sports. It will be on Hulu and YouTube TV. Those two have CW as channels because that's like streaming cable, stuff like that. But unless your provider has an app, it's not going to be on the CW app. It's not going to be on Peacock or NBC Sports. Practice and qualifying will be on the NBC Sports app. The race itself is on the CW. If you have an antenna, you're probably in the market to also get the CW. You can also buy an antenna on Amazon Prime right now. Get it, buy the races. Probably get it tomorrow.
And for any further questions, you may send those over to @Bob Pockrass on Twitter.
Yeah, there. Yeah, don't ask me questions about it.
Bob's like, I did not sign up for this. I did not. But no, I know Ash like made the comment. We were talking about this before we got on here. She's like, how have we gotten this far as a society that we don't understand how to get on and watch the CW just in general? We can't figure that out. That we're asking Bob. But like, I think we need to ask ourselves even further how we got here as a NASCAR fan base, that we just don't look anything up and we just go to Bob. Like Bob did not sign up to be everyone's like NASCAR father figure, and yet here he is, and we appreciate him for that. But I just maybe try a Google search before you tweet at Bob.
Oh, don't make me rant about this again. That no one Googles anything anymore. It's wild. I did
I
see a
just
video today. Fun fact, that's like I don't Google anything anymore because everyone's trying to like pay for the top spot. So I go on TikTok now, and I was like, I don't think that's better.
yeah, you're like, okay, that's not exactly how that. Oh, you went okay. Articles to just people making videos. Sure. This comment made me laugh out loud. Bob, does the CW have lights?
Someone go tweet at Bob, see what he says. Be like, I got sent here from the
Uh,
NASCAR Twitch channel or YouTube channel. The
You're like
CW
J
have lights.
Punch and Ash Vandelay want to know: does the CW have lights?
Yeah, we don't feel like Googling it, so or asking ChatGPT and see what answer it comes up with. Yeah, but Bob's doing in the work. Okay, again,
Yeah.
CW Xfinity. Tell your friends. Everyone go tweet it right now. I don't even care if you have no followers. I just want no excuses when someone inevitably on Reddit is like, "Where's the race? I didn't know it was on the CW. It's only been on paint schemes. Bob's talked about it. Everyone's complained about it. So whether you have to have heard it through one of these multiple channels at this point, like I don't know what else to tell you."
Also worth noting that the NBC team is going to be who's continuing to help the CW
Yes.
in broadcast. I've seen a couple people ask that question. They've been like, "You still need a broadcast team." They do not. They will. Yes, they do still need a broadcast team because they're going to just continue on with the NBC crew for now. So,
Yeah. TBD on next year, but for this year, exactly to your point,
mhm.
continuing with the NBC crew, so that'd be all good. Bob just ends up in these roles. First, he became a meme from the Kyle and Ricky fight, and now he's a CW spokesperson. Yeah, don't tell Fox, but yeah, he's doing the work in there. And I think I appreciate this about Bob, and actually a lot of NASCAR journalists, because we have this issue in Formula One where for some reason people don't trust certain journalists. Like they don't have like an Adam Schefter, and it's someone I always refer to. It's but in NASCAR, I think people are like, we trust Bob. Like whoever you're
Mhm.
rooting for, if you hate the man, if you love playoffs, hate Blake, whatever it is that you fall into a category of fandom, Bob Pockrass is where everyone's getting their green flag information, their any news,
Mhm.
live tweeting, interviews, and things like that. So I do appreciate about that.
And I'll tell you what too, not to continue to go on a Bob tangent, but I think it's important to mention this. Bob, like Bill Nye, but Bob. I think that's something we could do. Anyways, I think what's important to note in that as well is that it goes the same way on the opposite end for Bob, right? The teams, the drivers, the crew chiefs, everybody trusts Bob. And I'll speak, I'll use as an example my dad. That was something that he talked about for a long time. Like in racing, you work in this little traveling circus. It's very important to be able to trust each other as a journalist, and that was something that my dad really always prided himself on, was that ability to have teams give him that knowledge and know that he's not going to go exploit that. And it's very evident that Bob is that person today. So as fans, we can trust what Bob has to say because we know that it's going to be accurate and not misleading, but also respectful of what the teams have told him and are willing to tell us
Yeah.
at the time. So that's my continued endorsement of Bob on both ends, that he is one of the most respected people in the garage right now, and that's why we can continue to trust him. So I say that too, is to say, don't ask him dumb questions, okay? Ask him important questions.
Respect him of his time, okay? Gosh darn it.
Exactly.
Have you seen those shirts people make of like so let's say if I made a shirt of you, it'd be like you stand in like different images of you in like a kind of like fan base. Can we make one of Bob and we both wear it to a race that we go to?
Ash, shut up. We have to do that.
That's what I'm
Why
saying.
has no one thought of that? Okay, it's funny that you say that because I was already thinking that like next time we're at a race together, we should do a like a tweet up or whatever but then I was like, "Oh, Bob does those. Maybe we like team up with Bob." Okay, it's all coming together and we show up and no one tell him. No one spoil this for us, okay?
Yeah, I agree. Bob, we're big your biggest fangirls. Everyone's like, "You're a Blaney fangirl. You're a Lando Norris fangirl. You love Red Bull." And I was like, "No, Bob Pockrass. E pluribus Pockrass," someone said in a Twitch chat. So, um, that's we're making Bob t-shirts. It should be
I'll tell
funny.
you
Like,
what. There's not a single driver I would run through the garage to talk to or ask a question to, but I would do that for Bob. I would have question important enough to run after Bob. So
probably has so many stories that he's like not allowed to publish. He's good at his job. In Bob, we trust.
mhm.
We gotta get the Bob meme picture from the fight and wearing it like a shirt. No, that seems like that's overdone. I think we need like we can put that as one of the pictures on the shirt, but I think like him.
I think
I'll send copies in the Discord so people can see what I'm talking about.
what is it, foam party Bob from Bristol? Is it where they did the foam party? Like that needs to be included for sure. That's like, yeah.
Foam party
Yeah.
Bob.
We'll work on it.
Out of context, foam party Bob sounds weird. Foam party Bob, meme fight Bob.
Yeah.
At this point, we should just also make trading cards about Bob, about like every incident he's been a part of or something, and like his stats and dates and time, and people can collect and get him to
We
sign in.
we're
Bob's
getting
life.
closer and closer to a restraining order from Bob as we spitball these ideas.
Oh no!
And then we're like, no one tell him. Nobody tell him. Everyone's like, I feel like I need to tell him.
Pokemon cards, but it's Bob. That's what I'm saying. The secret between the 35 months of period, how many are on YouTube? Yeah, done. That should be easy.
Bob is currently.
No, he's currently calling NASCAR. And he's like, please unplug this show. Turn off your internet.
Oh god, each week you and I get closer and closer to our NASCAR email logins just not working after we get off of this stream.
No, Bob's like flattered. Come on, we're his biggest fans.
Yeah,
we need Kyle Busch to send out fighters. Yeah, we'll do that. Bob's playing Corey LaJoie's Kickball Classic in Kannapolis, North Carolina, the week of the Roval. Going to be a good time. Ooh.
I will be working that for NASCAR, so I will be doing the sideline reporting. So I'll be there. If you want to come on in, hang out with us. Yeah.
Rachel, I want to do something. Can I be the social media person and follow Jess around? Can I hold? Oh, I don't know if you know this. So in college football, I saw this with Jim Harbaugh. I just watched a lot of Michigan games. I'm a Michigan fan. I don't know if they do this in other games. Someone just hold Jim Harbaugh's like cord for his like mic pack and stuff. Can I just hold your cord?
Okay.
Off the
100%. Have you seen the guy? And I'm blanking on what team it is now. He's the chain wearer. He literally is one of these. He just stands on the sidelines and wears the chain for one of the NFL players. So he's literally just the guy. He's got like this huge ice around his neck during the game because it's the guy who's playing's chain, and he just stands on the sidelines.
Yeah, I'll wear your stuff. Whatever you need.
Like, my point is, make up a job. Whatever you want, because apparently that's what we do nowadays. Yeah. Whatever you want. Sure.
Yeah, I'll do
it. It's not the turnover chain. It's not the turnover chain. I promise you. It is like this one player specific, because the Miami did that turnover chain for a while, and I would know because the Clemson Tigers whooped their butts when they had that turnover chain in the ACC championship here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So sorry. I'll exhale. Yeah, and I realize I probably shouldn't start talking about Clemson football because we got our butts whooped at the beginning of the year by Georgia, and I'm waiting for someone to start barking at me. So let's get back to racing.
I played about Michigan. We're doing fine. We won last year. We're all set. Anyone can make fun of us now. No one's fine still. Anyway, talking about ARCA. Oh, a sun umbrella. Yes.
A sun umbrella.
I will hold your umbrella for you. Done. Okay. When is this? During the weekend of the Roval? I can do that. Weekend. I'm Thursday before, canceling all my appointments. Rachel, I am inserting myself into this. I hope everyone is ready for it.
Ray is right. It's the number 3 for the Cardinals.
Oh, to the NASCAR show, we do occasionally talk about NASCAR. Look, you guys can talk about NASCAR with Bob. We're just here for a good time, not a long time. All right, we can talk about ARCA. Toni Breidinger did have to leave the car early during the race at Watkins Glen due to her burn injury from a previous race. So that is hard as a driver where I'm assuming she assumed that she could. She's like, yeah, it hurts, but I'm going to get in the car anyway, and I think I can be able to fight through it. And just to the point where it's like, this is unbearable. Like, Advil's not helping. Like, I can't. Like, I need to get out of this car, and that's gotta suck as a driver.
Yeah, she was on a scooter all weekend, going into the race on one of those where she's kind of like, I don't know what you call those, where your knees on the scooter and you can kind of scoot around. So clearly she was, trying to favor it going into the race, trying to give it as much time to rest and stay off of it. But you hear drivers talk all the time about how that's the last thing they want to do is have to one, see somebody else drive their race car, but much less have to get out of that race car to have somebody else get in it is just the most difficult decision you have to make. And then I
Yeah.
also think, not to go off on a side tangent here, but I also think it's,
Why not?
important to look at Toni and say, look, this is somebody who has a lot of eyes on her.
Yeah.
Even more recently, like in the last 2 weeks, she signed with IMG, which is a huge modeling company. I mean, just like the largest modeling company in our country. It's insane. So it's tough. I think you have to wonder, like, Toni obviously wants to have the best on track performance that she can have right now because she is this celebrity race car driver. And people are going to go look at what she can do as a race car driver as well. And like, is she performing? But I also wonder too, has Toni kind of like reached a level of fame that whatever she does in the race car, people are still going to follow her and, pour into her because she's expanded beyond just race car driver? I don't know. Like, I'd be interested to
Oh,
see,
interesting. I wouldn't
you know?
say anything, right? I think people still want to see her do well. Like, our people are still going to criticize
For
whatever.
sure.
One, it's just difficult being a woman in motorsports. People are going to criticize her regardless if she gets P5, P30, P25.
For
I don't
sure.
think I've seen anything crazy negative about her getting out of the car early. I mean, if people do, they don't understand. I just I just hate when people are like, "Yeah, they drove through the pain and, like, his eyeball was falling out, and that was so cool." I was like, "Was it cool? Definitely not smart."
Yeah.
Yeah, you make the best decision for yourself and your team. They got your back, you're okay with that, you move on, and then you get better, heal up, and hopefully the next race, all good because she was able to get out early, recover, run the best that she can.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
guess that's
so I
what, yeah, like, that's kind of what I mean, I guess. It was a weird way to say it, but, like, she almost feels like she knows she's more comfortable making this decision for her health because she feels like her livelihood isn't dependent on how she
Ooh,
finishes this race. You know what I mean? Like, she's built enough of a brand and a career for herself on and off the racetrack that she is more comfortable making the decision for her health and not having to feel like she has so much to prove. I don't know.
yeah, that definitely gives you a cushion. That's a good point of saying it. I think it does give her a cushion. I do think she just loves racing. I mean, right? She did a season of Toyota GR Cup, get those like that road course knowledge and things like that. I think she just loves racing, and she would do it. I
Mhm.
mean, I hope she keeps doing it because she does enjoy it, and I've heard her talk about it in interviews and such. I know a lot of people are like probably angrily typing on Reddit right now in their mother's basement about how she's a terrible driver and blah 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 blah. But no, I think she's had a slew of bad luck this year, and I mean, she did fine in Toyota GR Cup. Yeah, I think she's able to take less risk if she wants to, or if now she's driving, she's able to take more risk if she wants to make that move and not have to
Mhm.
worry about being like, "Ooh, sorry." I think she still respects the racing. I think
Mhm.
she still wants to race, and I think it's just cool to have a combination of all of it. She's able to balance all of her schedule. I really think racing is still her priority, regardless if she signs up, right? She's signed with Victoria's Secret. She signed with IM. She has, like you mentioned, the IMG thing. I do think racing would still be her priority for next year as well.
I agree with that. Especially because you're right. She races so many different facets, even just outside of what she does for ARCA. Um, and she's talented. Like, she really is talented. I think that she has a successful future in racing if she continues to pour into it. So
It's respectable when it goes right and idiotic when it goes bad. Well, that's what people say about the Hail Melon too. That's what I say about the Hail Melon, right? Everyone liked it because it worked. But if it didn't work, we'd be like, that was silly. You know? It goes both ways. Everyone thinks it's cool when it goes right. She ran very well in trucks, the Twitch chat says, and I don't think there's any doubt for me and Jessie there. So it's cool that she's able to bring that popularity to NASCAR, and her followers and such like that, and bring, how do I say this? Kind of be like, if you want to be a Victoria's Secret model and wear makeup and race cars, go for it. If you don't want to, that's also cool. But if you do, that's
mhm.
great too. Like, race a car doesn't care if you're a man or a woman, only if you hit your brake markers. Go
Yeah,
for it.
I think she's so good for the sport. Like, I really am a big Toni fan. Like, huge fan of what she's doing, both on and off the track. I love the fact that she's bringing in all these, like, that she's like running a race and then flying to New York Fashion Week and like stunting, walking through
That's so
Manhattan
cool.
and then like flying. Like, I love it. I love that we had because Okay, here's my quick tangent. How often do we sit here and go, "Oh, we don't have drivers doing like cool things anymore. Jeff Gordon was on
Oh,
SNL and he was on late night shows." And okay, well, Toni's out there working her way into doing it. Like I think it's super super cool that I love that. I love her in the sport.
And Kamikaze mentions in the Twitch chat how much work does she do with Toyota, and you see her in the ads all the time, and all that work and pushing for women in motorsports and such like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. To your point, yeah, everyone complains that drivers have no personality, and then we get a driver with personality, and they're like, "Not that way."
Yeah,
Like,
not that one. Oh, a
sorry.
girl? We didn't want it to be a girl.
I want to do New York Fashion Week.
No joke.
And no joke. And now we get to talk a little about Xfinity. ARCA, Connor Zilisch, domination. Xfinity, also Connor Zilisch, domination, which we get to now recap really quickly. This was a fantastic race to watch. I think everyone was. I wonder. I don't know how many viewers the Xfinity race got. I would hope it's a little bump up from the usual. Maybe not compared to last year, but definitely from previous weeks, especially as football season has started and college football season has started. I think everyone was excited to watch Connor Zilisch on his debut, especially after getting pole position. So
Yeah,
let's
when
see.
you go out there fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, I mean, before the race even started, everybody was like, okay, I'm tuning into this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
200 is underway. It's 2x2 as they dive into turn number 1. Connor Zilisch in the 88 on that inside line. Ty Gibbs in the 19 on the outside.
For 18 years old, Connor also races, I think, how do I say this? Decently cleanly. Like, he's still obviously a lot of time left to learn a lot of things, but I think he raced everyone cleanly, fairly. No crazy pit maneuvers.
Yeah, well, and I think too, I mean, this isn't quite as prevalent on a road course as it is. We'll see how he does on other tracks, but he's very aware of his surroundings and how even though he's learning, he's aware of how his learning is affecting everybody else around him, just even when it comes to like the air and the moves that he makes. So I think that's, yeah, to your point, it's a very clean, respectful way of racing while he's still continuing to learn.
That right there is he was trying to carry speed.
Coming into 6th for the final time here. Again, the 88 of Connor Zilisch, race leader. Shane Van Gisbergen in the 97 has been to pit road, has had his service done. And Connor Zilisch, in his Xfinity Series debut, has won the pole earlier today, and he wins stage 1 at the Glen.
Yeah, winning stage 1 was good.
Coming back to the green flag.
I was nervous for SVG for a little bit, but it was fine. I put a lot of Red Bull cans all over my stream setup for a Red Bull Shrine, so it worked out.
16 on the outside is AJ Allmendinger. Those two side by side as they go through 1 and then 3 and 4.
We're going 3 wide in the back. I can't. And I got so many things to say.
Right turn bad.
Right turn bad.
17. William Byron's going to try to take 3rd away from Sam Mayer.
William Byron rooting and gouging his
I did forget that Chastain was racing this till like halfway through the race. I saw his name on the timing scoring column, and I was like, "Oh yeah." Sorry, sorry, Ross. My bad.
Under attack from Ty Gibbs, a crossover. This is into that 6 you mentioned. Gibbs' patience has run out. Contact to the rear bumper. The 16 sends a 16 wide, and the 7 is loving his seat. He's going to get tried. Here he is. Zilisch jumps out of line, attacking the 1 of Mayer, 2 junior motorsports cars. Connor Zilisch. I love what you said, Jeff. Not a dent on this 88. Being very patient, not driving like an 18-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Thank you. Exactly.
Across the stripe.
Man, we should do the broadcast.
Byron going to win stage 2 at the Glen.
You're going to see just how good these leaders are as you see how.
To mention in the chat that he might not be used to the RG barginess yet. Oh, yeah, used to the contact in stock cars with his road course background. That's fair. I mean, he survived 24 hours of Daytona and 12 hours of Sebring. I think he's a little bit familiar with getting it yeeted and not being yeeted. And stage 3, where all goes to heck in a handbasket.
Mm-hmm.
Per usual.
I mean, look at that. Holy moly.
Connor Zilisch now behind and no contact made.
William Byron slides wide in turn number 3. William did a great job of hanging on.
And that is William Byron. Now, if that had been anybody else, you have to wonder, like, how different that could have been for this race. Like Byron's ability to save that's experience right there. That could have been detrimental to the rest of the field.
The 87 back into the gravel pit. That's Mike Skeen.
And this will bring out a caution. I think Allgaier is stuck.
I cat sitted for Mike Skeen once. Fun fact.
Yes, Allgaier is stuck.
What was that?
I cat sitted for Mike Skeen once.
You see the 7
This year, actually, when he was racing in the Nürburgring 24, he looked after his cat, Susie. Shout out, Susie.
Exactly happened.
Shout out, Susie.
Byron on the outside. Custer in the double
Bring more
zero,
cats into
Byron
NASCAR.
17 up through the gearbox.
Cat's name was Susie?
Custer with a great
You got
restart.
beef with Susie?
Has the advantage
No, I
of
just
the
don't think is her real name Susan?
can do on the outside.
Maybe. Yeah.
Cole Custer's best
Susan
move
the
on
I just don't think I've ever met a Susan. A feline Susan before.
now
Feline
takes the
Susan.
lead coming into turn 2.
Well,
She
now-
sounds so distinguished.
SVG in the 97 white and black car in third, and they are stacked up from fourth on back.
As we see the double zero just get a little bit off, and that allows that 17 of William Byron to look to the inside, and Byron's going to take the lead away as he goes through one. Ben Ginsburg, we have seen over
Sorry,
and
did we
over,
miss the
even with 30
penalty
laps
here
to go,
from
there's plenty of
Zilisch,
time. He
Gibbs,
tries to
and
make the pass now as
Mayer?
they enter turn number
No, I don't
one.
think it's happened yet.
A great job of moving that double
Well,
zero
Zilisch
out of the way,
P24
and Ben
back here
Ginsburg
on
up
stage
second.
30, so I
love
feel
him
like
because
he was sent to the
so
back.
slow down the back straightaway.
Why do these highlights cut out all the fun things?
into turn 1, around it goes.
Is going to be approaching the Matt DiBenedetto car, who has come to a stop, Dylan, in front of you in the interlude.
He's wounded and stopped off the racing
He's
line,
wounded.
but on the race
Like an
track.
animal.
So we'll wait to see if that brings out any sort of yellow. You see Zilisch go by
Oh, yeah,
in the
okay.
background there.
I need to pause this because for some reason, whatever this is, we completely passed over the fact that they got penalties. The 88, the 19, and the 1 got penalties for cutting the bus stop chicane, and
Yeah, that was
they had
race defining moment.
Yeah, and I got it automatically generated. But to remind people that okay, I don't want to. How do I say this? I excuse Connor Zilisch. This is his debut. He's 18. Maybe didn't pay attention during the drivers' meetings. Okay, maybe he just forgot. This is his first time running this, and I feel like he could be excused. But for Gibbs and Mayer to go past the chicane, and then Zilisch is like, "Oh, I'm going to follow these guys because we're P1, 2, and 3." It makes sense. So I think you could see even at some point that Zilisch is like turning and then trusted Gibbs, much to his dismay, and then cut through, and then just got in trouble for it and sent to the back. But he quickly regained. I know currently, I think now in this lap, with 30 to go, he was P20, but then he was able to P24. But then now with 6 to go, he's back to P1. So not only has Zilisch proved that he can start cleanly, if that makes sense, right? It's one thing that you get pole and you keep P1 for the entirety of the stage and able to go back and forth. It's another thing to be P30, P24, and then pass 24 additional cars while they're also trying to win the race or not wreck, etc. So he knows how to climb through the field. He knows how to start with the pressure. And he knows how to restart with pressure. And he knows now not to trust Ty Gibbs to cut the back chicane. So he has learned his lesson.
He learned a lot. Yeah. You're right, though. I mean, I think it was like that penalty was one of the best things in a way that could have happened to Connor in this race because it truly put on full display not only the fact that, like, oh, quick reminder that he's a rookie. I mean, literally a debut and still learning. Like, oh, that was kind of a silly mistake. And then it was like, oh, and now we get to see that he's so talented he can literally overcome this for a win. Got it. Like, I mean, we saw his every talent from Connor Zilisch on display on Saturday. I'm so excited to see what he does moving forward. He's going to be so fun to watch.
I occasionally peruse the internet 24 hours a day, and I saw on Reddit that someone was like, till Connor wins a NASCAR race, he's not a good driver to me. And someone's like, he's won the 24 hours of Daytona. He's done his finishes in ARCA, right? He's done the 12 hours of Sebring. Like, what is your beef with him? And he's like, none of those count to me. Like, it's only good if it's NASCAR. And I was like, what? I would need to, one, invite this person on the show, but two, hopefully now he is eating his own words or editing that comment that I will now try to find again after this race. But I thought it was interesting that, like, other race series for him don't count, and his ARCA races don't count, but like only this did for him.
Nah, there'll be some reason this didn't count. Let's be real. Come on. There'll be some reason this one didn't count either. He's got to win a Cup Series race with one hand tied behind his back and, no practice or qualifying opportunities.
Till they run the boot, this doesn't count.
As the Benetton's car has continued to sit stationary here just to the outside of the bus stop.
I love that people just hate good drivers. It's just people just hate winners. It's so frustrating.
They are side by side. Here comes Allman.
I love this one. It's a road course. That's not real NASCAR. Like heavy sarcasm.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. Yep. That's right.
He uses all of that runoff area, and he's got a car link, but there's carnage behind him.
Here they come to the top of the hill. It's Connor Zilisch away with the lead. New customer in the back door. AJ Allmendinger in the 16. He will go to position number 2 as the leaders hit the back straightaway.
Everybody, I'm sorry.
SVG was able to catch up because of all these yellows. And just like, oh, everyone's crashing out, move up. Everyone's crashing out, move up.
Knows it, turns to the inside.
Like, excuse me, coming through.
Drives underneath, but look what happens. The 9 into the 18, that stacks everybody up and chaos behind them. Sammy Smith, big damage right there. Got hit in the right front tire. Yeah, that's the 21 hit was the 8. Watch this chaos from the front.
I love when we're 4 wide in the turn 1. That always works every single time in Watkins Glen. I'm so glad we did this.
If it didn't work the first time, try it again the next time.
There was another car that pushed him off into the grass.
So now that 8 car, you see it right there. Looks like he may have gotten hit in the door, not in the wheel. He would hope so because it shouldn't do as much damage.
Until he wins the Daytona 500, Coke 600, Darlington, the Coke Zero in the same year. He's a bad driver. Exactly.
Oh no! Look out! Yeah, Anthony couldn't even see where.
Until he's in my favorite manufacturer's car on my favorite team and wins all of those. He's the bad driver.
Could he not see? I don't think he could.
Accurate. Someone's typing that on Reddit right now.
Ty Gibbs is on the outside of AJ Allmendinger as they get ready to enter the restart zone. And back under green. One car not rolling quick enough. He gets out of the way. Side by side into one. Zilisch will move the one up the racetrack, and Zilisch clears easily the one of Mayer, and now up the S as he goes.
Such great restart.
He'll fall back to third as Ty Gibbs is off the pace in the short shoot.
At some point, this has to be like a Phelps thing, right? Like, he's just a naturally gifted, incredible driver. Like how Michael Phelps is just like built to swim. The fact that he's 18 years old and can handle these restarts against all these pros.
He is a natural talent. I mean, truly, like that is, you can't argue with that.
Well, what goes up must come down. Well, what goes off the track normally returns. Oh.
All right, and another overtime.
I love this. It didn't work the last 7 times, but on cold, worn tires, I'll pull it off.
Top 10 has been able to make it into turn 1, side by side for the lead. Zilisch up the racetrack, a wreck in the
AJ Allmendinger straight up bullying Shane Van Gisbergen is something I would not expect to see. Look at this.
They're leaning on each other for the second spot, 3 wide up to the S's. Here comes
I like Sam Mayer's like, it's not worth it.
That was big for Creed to get to second. He is plenty good on fuel. Meanwhile, Holmes gets turned in front of the back half of the top 10. Another car slams into the wall. They are wrecking hard on the back straightaway as everybody piles in. Caution flag is out.
And this is great for Connor Zilisch because caution comes out. He's got to
They remind everyone that people are like, Connor has to save fuel at this point. Though I think he did because of the overtimes and the yellow flags and things like that. He was able to save the fuel that he needed to complete this. But a lot of people with fresher tires and more fuel than he has.
Thank you. All you guys. 88 group, y'all been awesome the whole time.
The 18-year-old Connor Zilisch is going to win in his first start at the Glen.
Connor.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Nice work, dude.
After he got out of his car and did his burnout and stuff like that, he was like tearing up because he was so happy. And I was like, I'm a sympathy crier, so if like someone's crying, I'm just gonna start crying. So I was definitely like, he's so happy. I'm happy. I don't even know this person. This is so nice. So
I'm the same way. The Olympics was a long 2 weeks for me.
I had to hydrate constantly for all the crying that I was doing there. It was
Every time I got on social media, I was like, like it was so bad. I was like, I have never seen so many people achieve dreams, and I've never been so happy for them. But I can relate. Yes, Connor Zilisch, and it just like as a fan too, you just cry thinking about the future of the sport, and you're like, oh, we're in good hands.
First driver in a national series history to win a pole and a race in their debut start. So it worked out really, really well. And then yes, Sheldon Creed did get second yet again. Always a bridesmaid, never the bride. But he is now officially launched into the Xfinity playoff on points. Next week is the last week for Xfinity regular season, and then the playoffs start for them. But Creed is all good. Creed's all set. Just get in P2.
At least Creed's all good. Well, he's all set.
Yeah, I don't know if he's good.
Yeah.
He's definitely he survived whatever those restarts was. So we're gonna play the Cup race. I just would like people to denote. Every time I do a watch along, I like to say before the restart, and I don't think any of these drivers can hear me, obviously, because I'm not on their radios. But I always like to remind everyone that you are professionals. You have done this multiple times, and somehow you think 4 wide is going to save you. You haven't pitted in like 50 laps. Your tires are bald. Like, what are you doing? I just don't. You've been through this before. We've done this yellow multiple times. What are we thinking? I don't get it. Like, as Martin Truex Jr. had a quote I'm going to read after we watch the Cup highlights. I just like don't every time. What are we doing? You get paid to do this, and you can't. It bothers me.
If I'm Martin Truex Jr. at this point, I'm just like so over it. I mean, yes, we can get into that. I won't go off on the tangent now, but
he goes, it's just crazy that all these races always come down to this. I don't really understand how these guys can call themselves the best in the world when they just drive through everyone else in the restarts at the end of these races. And then he goes, I'm out of here. He's like, I'm too old for this. What are you doing? And like every single time they restart, I was like, okay, we're professionals. We just had 3 overtimes. Make this the last overtime. And then it's not. And I don't understand if everyone just like pick a struggle, okay? Either you forgot how racing works or like you have no tires or no fuel. Just pick one and stick with it for this 5th and 6th overtime, please. We've been watching you for 2.5 hours, 3+. And
we've been in overtime for the last hour and a half. Like, let's just.
My purgatory is overtime. It just doesn't stop. And like, everyone gets mad about overtime, or people have strong opinions, I should say, about overtime. And like, we could get it if drivers. If this needs to be part of a play. Who's in charge of drivers' meetings? Just play that clip of me and Jessie complain, like of that rant in the drivers' meeting after everything. Be like, hey, hold up, last moment. We talk about overtimes.
We're gonna actually bring these 2 little girls in to yell at you real fast before you send you out to driver intros. So if everyone would just stay seated for another 45 seconds, then we'll let you on your way. Thanks.
One from New York City is gonna have very colorful language. Okay, she is very upset. This is going.
And then it's me. I'm like, I'm very disappointed in you.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And there's me being like, look, I'm going to send you all to Fenway wearing a Yankees jersey if you don't do this correctly the first 3 times because you don't deserve anything. It's wild. My purgatory is still stuck in Nashville overtimes. I like this.
Martin Truex Jr. is one lap crash away. Sorry, 1 lap 1 crash away from quitting mid-season. That's tough. That's tough.
Bristol's going to come around. He's going to be like, I'm going to purposely flatten my own tire. Just get out of here. I don't want to deal with you jabronis anymore. It is wild. Michael's drawing says Larson loves to run over drivers. I don't blame Truex being mad at him. I think McDowell at some point also got mad. Gosh, who was McDowell yelling at? Was it Chandler? No, Zane. Who was Zane? I think it was Zane that he was getting feisty over post-race. I saw that on the NASCAR Twitter. I didn't see that in the post-race interviews, but McDowell had a few words to say about to a few people. So Ash is channeling the fury of all the Polish moms and grandmas everywhere into this rant. Yeah, I might get so upset if I see them face to face. I'll start talking in Polish. And they'll be like, "What witchcraft is this?" Just like you are paid lots of money, and you can't restart a race cleanly. It is I don't know what the thoughts are. Like, this is my last chance. I'm just going to yeet through the field, or like, if I shove everyone out of the way, maybe I'll win the championship. I don't know what it is, but for God's sake, stop. All right, let's go to the Cup Series playoffs before I keep going because I'm very passionate about this,
As you should be.
especially Cup drivers. Like, what are we, guys? Come on.
What are we doing here?
For the Go Bowling at the Glen.
No thoughts, just chaos.
Go. Here at the Glen. Good start from Chastain, but Shane Van Gisbergen right behind him. Truex coming on the outside with Bowman as well. Great start, Chastain.
Ross Chastain away with the lead, but he can't get too far away. Here's Truex. Truex in the 19 is going to look to his inside in 2. Can't get the job done. 3, now 4-car breakaway up front. They're side by side for 5th. That is Austin Cindric in that orange 2-car. Right now racing side by side as they lead turn 4.
Daniels give that spot to Cindric. Now they wreck. Christopher Bell out of the bus stop. Several other cars involved. Looks like Kyle Busch is in there, as well as a few others. Everybody should be
Teddy
able to
Hamlin's
drive
like,
away.
come on,
Right, so
leave
here's
me
the
alone.
pause right here. The 7 from the grass over, catches the left rear of the 8 at the top of your screen as they spin. Everybody comes in. Now, right side of the screen, the yellow and white car.
That's what I was just looking for, this quote that I can't find it from LaJoy about talking about how the 7 is just like, for whatever reason, has been drawn to the 8 and he's like waiting for retaliation. I'm seeing if I can find it, but it's tough though. Like, how many more times does Corey LaJoy take out Kyle Busch before he
behind him, Briscoe, Suarez,
loses
Get
it?
to 1v1, yeah.
Reddick, Larson,
7, 8, 9.
all playoff drivers, playoff racing in a road course. This is what has to happen. 48-14 in tow. Truex going to win the stage.
This is
Blaney and Will Power had
hugely
similar
valuable
struggles
for
that day.
Martin Truex Jr.
Oh my gosh, the IndyCar race was
At
wild.
a place where he has won before, he'll take those stage points. So important for him. To more of a rhythm here. Is it going to be more predictable?
So they don't talk about the Blaney thing, but I don't know what happened. I know Blaney was upset because he wanted to go back to race, and he's like, we could fix this. But then I don't know who made the decision that he couldn't fix it, and then I haven't heard anything about it. And I think that's really interesting, like where the decision is made, or it's a gray area, or they're going to rewrite it or something. But I feel like Blaney was not happy, nor should he be. I feel like he could have gone back out there to all intents and purposes.
It's something about the rule, and again, I haven't looked into it either. I just, from what I kind of was barely hearing, it's something about the rule of if you don't drive the car back into the garage or into the pits, like if you're towed back there, you aren't allowed that 5-minute clock to work on the car. Like, you're done. You're not allowed to drive it back. So I guess it was something about like he didn't, if you can't drive it back, the race is over. And they would have, and so they were saying like we could still have fixed this though and gone back out. Like, we didn't make that decision necessarily to end our race, like that decision was made by like NASCAR rules in a way. So it's kind of a weird, to your point, like a rule, you got caught in a rule that kind of forked him over a little bit.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's something like you look over at the end of the race year, and you go over if NASCAR maybe like goes in a big room. I just assume all these people have meetings constantly. They just sit in a big room and talk about stuff, and like, I don't know if you guys ever did work in corporate America and have done those like whiteboard sessions with your boss that take like 4 hours, but no one actually stays on topic. But somehow NASCAR will stay on topic, and they will sit in this room and go over race by race and be like, do we have to change anything? What's going on here? Blah, 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 blah. And they'll be like, ooh, this Ryan Blaney rule. Yeah, that was weird. Maybe we should change it or make some exceptions or something. Because I know F1 does that with safety stuff, with safety regulations. They'll like analyze any crashes and things and like reinforce certain parts or side pods, the halo, things like that have been beefed up a bit. So very interesting to see what happens if they do anything because of this. Because someone made a good point. Yeah, they'll tell you if you have 4 flats. Yeah. Didn't Joey have a similar issue at Pocono last year? Oh, I do not remember, or no, I cannot.
I don't remember.
I remember. Yeah, they'll tell you let you keep racing if you have 4 flats. Yeah. Maybe next time he'll just have a pocket knife and just slash 4 tires and be like, "Get me back."
A little more chaos to come. Here we go. Van Gisbergen is pushing. Chastain hard on the inside. SVG thinks about diving on the inside and then thinks again. McDowell goes out wide. Check out this bag, man. Here they come.
McDowell's going to swing it all the way wide. He's going to take a run for the lead, but he can't get it
Oh,
done.
when Joey's cussing the
Chastain
tow
gets
drivers?
reversed into
Got
the
it.
air.
Yes,
McDowell
then I do
right
remember
behind
that.
him into 34. Shane Van Gisbergen gets punted a bit wide coming through turn 3.
entry advantage he had earlier in turns 1 and turn 7. And man, this is a busy
car
pit road.
spun around. 99 car spun around in turn 6. He is borderline in the
It sucks that he gets stuck here. That's so unfortunate.
That car's going to have to throw the caution here.
This has been such a crazy day for playoff drivers.
And this is
Yeah, that really was just an unfortunate thing. Bad place.
Will they get to pit road before the yellow? It's a drag race. The 1 and the 16, they will not make it. Pit road is closed. So much frustration in the camp of the 1 and the 16. That was the one thing that could not happen on their strategy.
I know, barely made it,
will
right?
sink them, his own teammate, the playoff car, the 99 in the sand.
You'll take what you can
I
get.
lost a fantasy driver because of
There
that.
is the end of
I lost a lot of
stage
fantasy
two,
drivers in like
albeit
that first
under a
incident.
slower pace. Under caution, Ross Chastain.
I have not been doing well in fantasy since the playoffs started.
Well, these playoffs have been chaos. Like, I don't know how you could ever predict any of this.
Look at that high point forward. Does he get Van Gisbergen?
Like, what are we doing here? We're not even in the overtime. Like, when does this ever work? You just watched Xfinity. You just watched ARCA. Like, what are we doing?
Now he gets hit.
There's no way you're like, this is a great idea.
And
This is going to work out.
coming your way.
And it is chaos leaving turn 1, heading into the S's. They all try to sort it out. Ross Chastain just trying to get out of Dodge right now.
Get out of Dodge. That's such a good,
They're
yeah.
a lot more respectful, but they just know they have to get going.
Treble
Yeah.
into turn number 2. Denny Hamlin is around.
We're going
And he's
bowling.
got
Ugh,
contact
I
on the
knew
back
it.
of his race
People pay.
car.
So did they get paid
Hamlin
extra for doing
at
that?
the bottom of the
Like they
S's.
get paid
He's
extra
able
for
to
drinking
refire the
Coca-Cola
car.
and doing all that
But
other
as you can
stuff?
tell by the crowd here in turn 2, they are happy.
If I spin, is it a strike?
But I guarantee you he is not.
Crashed
He
at
gets like a
Daytona,
free
the big rig.
bowling for a month
Recovered at
membership.
Darlington, and here
Like, what
just
do you...
gets put into the wall.
Yeah, 3 wide. I mean, basically, he uses the runoff, but the same 5 and 6 that we were showing you were side by side. Brad basically is like, look, man, if you're going to go to that runoff, you're just not going to squeeze me and have me lift. You see all that 40 total, 30 green, and for sure you're starting to see him go away. But until they start to lose too much track position as Busher cleaves Chastain, what a great move.
And Chastain's
What a
time
great
at the
move.
front has come to an end. Ross has led more laps here today than his entire road course career.
Yeah, huge implications for Denny
Busher
Hamlin.
hit pit lane here. This is maybe a reaction to seeing the 1 and the 16 come down pit road as they're going to be ripping fast lap times on those newer tires. The 34 team actually came up.
Hamlin is his own playoff implication.
Slower at the other run. So this is the idea of putting these newer tires.
As LaJoy comes to the pits on board with thanks to WeatherTech. SVG has been slicing them up since that last stop.
So if we look at the leaderboard, let's kind of update you now that we have 23 to go, what the plan is and what everyone needs from here, right? So Joey Logano is leading the race, last on pit road at 48. Smith the same, Larson, Keselowski, Suarez. We see LaJoy continue to drop. They're trying to nurse their fuel and their tires, maybe all the way to the end. If we get a yellow, they may choose to pit, but the strategy is to kind of nurse them.
At the front, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher. The man who leads the playoff standings up against the driver who narrowly missed out.
Watching Christopher Buescher open up the inside lane. He's going to dive to the inside of the 22 of Logano, and Buescher will take the lead. Logano's just got to let him go. He can't challenge that move right there at the beginning of the S's. And once Buescher's grabbed the lead in the 17, he is pulled away by 4, by 5, by 6 car lengths.
Oh, someone in chat earlier asked, how do we feel about Joey Logano? Which I thought was also a very broad question.
Buescher definitely paying advantage for him as he.
Yeah, I'm going to need y'all to be a little more specific here when you ask these questions.
Coming off of it, I think NASCAR is going to be putting.
How do you feel about Joey Logano, Ash?
Coming right behind him.
I feel like it's always a contentious question because I feel like people are waiting for me to like dislike Joey Logano strongly. I have no thoughts. I am apathetic. I got no beef. I also don't own any Logano merch. He's there. He drinks Coca-Cola very well. Those are my thoughts.
Who's got the better tires?
Joey is a person.
Action at the Glen. Let's go.
But if he wrecks my favorite driver, then he's the worst.
Yeah.
Them's the rules.
Chris Buescher with an excellent placement of his car, but it opens up that inside line back here to SVG.
SVG had an open lane, but he wasn't close enough to capitalize. Instead, it's Chris Buescher. He'll punch his way through to the lead. Prosovar now second. SVG is third. They're going to stack them up double wide for fourth. A couple of white and blue cars there at the top of your screen. Chastain and Briscoe, and there's trouble further back. William Byron gets launched up onto the retaining wall. Brad Keselowski's involved. Everybody else.
That was wild.
I'm glad everyone's okay.
Yeah. The in-car from Byron is unreal.
Either way, man, what a hit for the 24.
It was super tight.
Andrew says Joey's a nice
That
guy.
is
Also
such
has nice hair.
funnel through there.
Perfect.
Waiting for the green.
Every Matt Kenseth fan about to go crazy.
Gave Buescher a little bit of a bump, and it's hurt him because they open up that gap. He's going to have to go deep on the brakes. He's got Chastain.
Oh, look at us in the back there, going 3-4 wide.
Mike Bagley, they're coming to you.
Chris Buescher breaks away.
Well, it worked so well last time.
Hang on a second. He'll chop off Shane Van Gisbergen. But here's FBG on the attack. He'll look to the outside for a moment. And there's trouble further back. Tyler Reddick's around. Kyle Busch is involved. That's Reddick in the 45 and Busch in the 8.
This has taken me a while watching NASCAR consistently, but at some point I just know when an incident's about to happen, especially on like a super speedway. You just like you're watching the whole field on like the camera that's like
The aerial view.
Thank you so much, aerial view.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel good. This is nope. We're about to get a yellow. I do not feel good about this. This was me.
You can like feel it. You're like, there it is.
Finish it off.
And I know Denny Hamlin's talked about that on his podcast, which it makes sense, obviously, if you're in it. He's like, yeah, you just know when something's coming.
Wheel to wheel for the lead, coming to the S's, and it's SVG. He'll power past Buescher and go to the lead. Buescher now to second. Third now will be Carson Hocevar,
who happens to be mentored by Marcus Ambrose. Marcus will be back in Australia watching this, and it's shades of Keselowski and Ambrose all over again. Buescher gets on the inside of SVG and says, you pushed me around earlier, I'm going to give it back. Incredible on this final lap. Van Gisbergen's only got one real shot left at it. Maybe two. Thinks about it into turn 6. Did Buescher save the best to last? Or has Van Gisbergen got a little payback? He gets wide. He loses it almost. He has to gather it up, but he can't do it. Chris Buescher wins at the Glen in the most spectacular style.
Oh, chills.
Let Lee Diffie speak, but that was an incredible call.
Lee Diffie.
And the crowd noise too. Chef's kiss.
Sold out crowd. Incredible. Whew.
Hey, race fans, that's us. Yeah, that call by Lee Diffie was was incredible. What a finish! Yeah, 4 out of 4 on calls this year.
Which I want to say quickly, I actually had a really long conversation with my dad recently about, it was even before Lee stepped in, and we talked a little bit about the art of the call and how I personally feel like we're getting away from the art of the call just by no, intentional reason, but I just think when you get comfortable calling these races, we forget how important the art of the last bit of that race is. That call is huge. And I said even further with the day and age that we live in with social media, when you look back at that clip, I believe it was Chicago maybe was the one that I was thinking of and thinking like, there was one race that I thought to myself, wow, that finish was spectacular, but I wish that call had given me a little more information because in the day and age that we live in social media, that is an advertisement for our sport, right? Like that last coming around turn 3, coming around turn 4, or whatever it is on the road course, coming to the start finish line, that's the clip. That's what's shared. That's what people that don't watch the races in full see. The non-NASCAR fans see those clips on social media. You have this like 20, 30 seconds to really bring people into our sport and advertise how big this moment is for everyone involved. And bringing Lee Diffie in has done exactly that. He has brought back the art of the call, and it has been so apparent in that. And even as a race fan myself, I feel it. And I hope that people are drawn to watch racing by seeing some of these social media advertisements that we're going to be able to share with Lee Diffie's call.
Absolutely agree. There is Bobby Jones. A lot of people might know him from his NFL analysis and things like that. He had on his show, he talked about at some point, I think last year or 2 years ago, or even on his podcast, that 70% of at least stick and ball fans consume the world through highlights. Like they do not watch full games anymore. They do not watch full broadcasts. There's a lot they consume through social media clips and news articles, and that's how they consume stick and ball games. Stick and ball, I think, has an easier way of doing that because with the context provided, right? You hit a home run, you score a point, like right, the catches, the plays, the 3-pointers from the logo, like those look cool, and stick and ball sports are able to get away with that. I think exactly to your point, this call by Lee Diffie, having this clip is just giving me those stick and ball sport, like, yes, that's the clip I want to see. Like I want that to be advertising NASCAR. Those two, Buescher and SVG, able to give it, like, go back to back with each other. SVG doing a little bit of pushing, not mad about it when Buescher's doing it back. They're having good racing. You just know they're having the time of their lives in that car. You can just tell Buescher, like, yes. So and Diffie being so enthusiastic about it, I think that's like one of those clips that's like, this was perfect. This was fun. Yeah, Lee can make paint drying sound exciting is what Andrew says. Completely true. One to go by Credit One Bank thing really finishes were starting to get really corporate a little bit, but you gotta do what you got. I mean, they also pay the bills, so like I get it. I also agree, but also like I'm not too mad about it. You just gotta let him. You just gotta also let him go. When Diffie's on, he's world class, but when he's off, he's the Lord of Cringe. I have to say, I think that's just like the name of the game. If you're going to be that enthusiastic about it, and if you're going to be the one making those calls, sometimes it just doesn't work out. It just ends up falling into that gray area. So
people underestimate how difficult that job is. That is why when you look back and people talk about people like Ken Squire, there's a reason that people talk about Ken Squire being as talented as he is and affecting people in the way that he did, because there is an unrecognized talent in timing and what you're saying, and not just telling people what they're watching, but bringing in the added details and the art that he was able to like weave into what he was saying with the adjectives and the way he was setting the scene. It is so much more difficult than people realize. So yes, there are going to be times where you're just off, and where no matter what you do, it just doesn't sync up, right? It's like a dance that you have to do with the race. And so to say that Lee, is 9 out of 10 times killing it right now is hands down. I mean, you got to give him credit where credit's due, because yeah, everyone's going to have an off day, but he has really been able to come in and weave himself so perfectly into this NASCAR dance. It's been so fun to see.
And doing that throwback of his like shades of Ambrose and Kozlowski, I was like, yeah, that was a tie-in where if you knew what he was talking about, you're like, yes, that's a good point. Let me like take those feelings back to that time and be like, that sounds great. There was a thing in the Olympics, I remember, because he does cover the track and field events for the Olympics. He has a lot for NBC. So this is not new to him. Like he knows what he's doing, right? He did IndyCar for so long. He's so great at the Indy 500. So yeah, at the Olympics, I remember where he made the incorrect call and people got up in arms about it. The call at the time was well done. Though I also remember that they don't get the results right away. So like you have to just sit there and just do your best, which is wild. So yeah, then he apologized for it, explained like how it all works. And people were like, oh, we didn't realize you don't get the results right away. So he's like, yeah, I need to do my job and tell you what just happened. He's like, I'm looking like you are over the track and field thing. If it's that close by milliseconds of a margin, then I need to make my call. So you can tell he does his homework for the broadcast. Exactly. I agree with Parrott there.
Look, I'll jump in real quick and tell like a very, very quick story. We talked about this last week. I did a Nitrocross event a couple weeks ago, and I was new to Nitrocross, still very much learning. There's so much going on in the moment of all of that to give, to go back to what I was saying with giving Lee a little bit of credit here. Like there's so much going on that we don't even realize. And I made a mistake in Nitrocross where I watched the entire race, right? I sat there, I talked us through the race, everything, but then we shuffled everybody over to victory lane and everything's happening and drivers are coming and I'm still hosting and there's people in my ear and they hand me the card for the last race to call the podium. And the person who had handed me the card had written the names backwards. So they wrote the winner as third. second first. This is all like minor mistake because you would read them that way, but like I can understand where it happened. So many moving parts. It was handed to me. I just read the name. I would just watch the whole race, but it all happened so fast that I read the name of the winner first as if he was third. At the end of the day, it was not a huge deal, right? Like everybody was cool about it. I fixed my mistake. But my point in saying that is I sat there and watched the entire race, and everything just still happens so fast that you don't always are aware of what the decisions that you're making, and you have to trust a lot of different people. So I can't even imagine what it's like at the Olympics. That was like a minor scale at a nitrocross event, right? Like, come on. So yeah, like stuff happens, okay? Cut him some slack. Lee Diffie is incredibly talented. And we need to be welcoming to him. Welcome him in.
People are so hard on him for some reason. I think he's a professional. He's done this. He's called the Olympics. He's called IndyCar. Like, this isn't like he's not someone we just picked up off the street. And we're like, hey, come commentate NASCAR. Like, he knows what he's doing, and it's so interesting. The random people just hate change so much. It's wild.
I know. Like, I feel like fiercely defensive of Lee. I'm like, everyone be nice to him. Welcome him in. It's like, yeah. Come on, people. Don't. I don't know.
I get defenses from the stupid comments that I see when people are like, oh, I don't like his accent. And I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, that you're mad about his commentary and his skills because he's Australian. Like, I'm no longer listening to any opinions you have about his commentary, because he is incredible and he knows exactly what he's talking about. So
yep.
I 4 for 4 calls when he made that call and he said, Jeff, your boy has done it. Tears. I was like, that is beautiful. That was such like a nicely placed personal touch. Loved it so much.
And these are the moments that, like, again, not to bring my dad up, but my dad talks about when he was in the booth with Darrell Waltrip, watching Michael Waltrip, win these races. And the same thing with Dale Earnhardt, watching Junior win these races. Like, these are moments that, like, you have to, you're actively working. You're literally on national television, but you're also facilitating a life moment for a family right there next to you. Like, the emotions, like, you're in charge of facilitating all of this, and he did it so beautifully, and that will be a moment that goes down in NASCAR history in regards to family in the sport.
Family. Someone bring Dominic Toretto in here. From 2311 Racing, announced 22 minutes ago. From day one, Bubba has been an integral part of 2311. We're excited to announce that he has signed a multi-year renewal and will continue to play a key role in helping 2311 grow and succeed. #forward together. So yeah, Bubba Wallace has just signed multi-year extension with 2311.
Good for him. Well. Good for him.
That made sense. I was like, yeah, you want to. I like when, we talk about this in F1 all the time. People are like, these contracts are so long. And I was like, yeah, but you want to develop this team around your, I was going to say crew chiefs. They call them something different in F1, but I'm just going to use the same terminology. Crew chief, race engineers, etc. So I do like when contracts are multi-years as opposed to just 1 year. And you're like, let's just see how this goes and be on edge for a year and hope I have to do really, really well. It's nice to invest in someone, especially developing and getting better and better year after year. So it's really, really awesome. That's congratulations to Bubba Wallace on that one. Coming up next, Bristol. Everyone's at Bristol. Harka is going to be on FS1 on Thursday at 5 p.m. Trucks is Thursday at 8 p.m. Xfinity on the CW. If you don't remember, it's going to be on the cable, on the Hulu, on the YouTube TV. Reach out to Bob Pockrass if you need to. Cup is going to be on USA at 7:30 on Saturday, Xfinity on Friday, if that wasn't clear. But everyone's at Bristol. It's going to be a hoot and good time. And don't forget about the resin in the bottom lane from March. I remember that caused a lot of tire wear. I was going to say key setups key things going to be setups and tire management. Teams know what to expect now. So that's going to be a little bit better. Tires will wear, but those who manage their rubber vests will surely gain later in a run and past drivers than who have run harder and fallen off more. They did a test in July with 6 teams, but the temperatures were a little bit higher, and that kind of, we'll see how that kind of translates. But no, people know what to expect now.
Racing under the lights, that's definitely going to your point, going to make a big difference there.
Under the lights. Yeah, bottom line good. Longer race length in Cup, wears out at the end, opens up multiple grooves. I think it's going to be also dramatic again.
Someone said, was it Bristol that caused the tires to shred like grated cheese in the spring? And that's one way to put it. I like to put it the most spectacular accident in all of motorsports at that time. Truly, I think like it was, it worked out in a great way. But how wild was that to watch, that spring Bristol race where Goodyear in the middle of the race is like changing the rules and distributing more tires to teams, and everybody was like, what's going on? I mean, it was insane. So it was not planned like that, but like, what a cool accident, you know? I mean, it was so entertaining.
Usually it's PJ1 traction compound, but they opted for a different resin in the bottom lane, which is what had happened, and it got eaten up in like 45 laps and stuff. So that was fun. Your race winners were Hamlin, Truex, Keselowski, Bowman, and Larson in your top 5. So we'll see how folks take into account what happened in March are now ready to to do it. That wasn't what we intended, but it slapped. How do we do it again? Just.
I know, that's truly. They're like, so that was bad, right? Was it? I don't know. Do we just do the same thing again? Like, how do you, like, because you, like, how do you, I don't know. Yeah, why not? It was entertaining.
So yeah, don't forget Bristol. Everyone's there except us, but we will be there one day. Except some people in the chat. But we do have ARCA trucks on Thursday, Xfinity on Friday, and Cup on Saturday. Under the lights. It's gonna
that
be
is the
awesome.
ARCA East finale, correct? Yes. I believe that's the ARCA East season finale, so that's always a fun one.
And think.
I asked the question, but I was like asking myself and then answering myself, so that was weird. Sorry. I like tossed it up and then caught it over here.
I needed like 2 seconds to calculate. So for Xfinity, I was going to say it's their last regular season round before their playoffs start in next week in Kansas. So it's something to denote for any Xfinity playoff drivers.
This is one of my favorite races. This Xfinity race in particular. Like, I tell people all the time when they ask about what races to watch, I'm like, truly, the Friday night Xfinity Series regular season finale at Bristol is always fabulous. Like, I will always go back to a couple years ago, AJ Allmendinger and somebody tell me because I'm blanking on it right now. Sammy Smith? That seems like early. Anyways, battling for the regular season finale, and AJ literally has to do his full-blown like victory lane interview from the infield care center at Bristol. It was spectacular. Coming to the line, I was standing in turn 1 just like truly so good. That race sold it like so good. But who was it? Someone tell me who was Cindric. Thank you. Goodness. Yeah. Yep. And they were both battling for that regular season finale and for the win right there. Fabulous. Such a good race.
I do have to remind all Xfinity drivers to gird their loins when they do a restart, please, for overtime, just for my sake, before I go on another rant next week on the same time at 1 p.m. Jessie, you did mention you posted a Instagram Q&A sticker for people to ask questions that we answer on the show, and I was wondering, and you said you had a question for me, but didn't want to tell me till we were live to get my reaction. So yeah. I'm ready and scared, but I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, anytime you post a question box on Instagram, you really never know what you're going to get. And we did get quite the variety of questions, but I thought there was one that was interesting. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay. They said, let me give this person credit here. Brandon 87. He asked, so he said, make your Cup team with 1 Cup veteran, 1 Xfinity driver, 1 truck driver, and 1 Weekly Series driver. Build your Cup team.
Ooh. Sorry, it was 1 Cup veteran, 1 Xfinity veteran, 1 truck veteran, and what was the last one?
1 Weekly Series driver.
Weekly Series.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an answer already?
I don't know. I was kind of been thinking on it, and I think where we're going to get hung up is what defines Weekly Series driver at this point, because initially everybody's like, Connor Zilisch, I call Connor Zilisch, like, is he Weekly Series, or can you like Carson Kvapil, like, is he Weekly Series right now? Maybe I'd grab him, but I don't know. I think 1 Xfinity. I like a Justin Allgaier. I think that's a consistent. Okay, yeah, that's fair, actually. Yeah, that's true. See, that's what's so tough is I'm like, yeah, okay, technically SVG.
I had no thoughts. I went straight to Red Bull. I was like, SVG? Yes, done. Next question.
That's a good pick. Who would be your Cup guy?
Larson.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would have to go with Larson right now as well. But look at that, especially like if you pick SVG, you've got Larson and SVG. I mean, that's like kind of a deadly combo right there when it comes to hitting all different styles of racetracks and where they're successful.
If you're on the trucks, Elliott easily.
Yeah, okay. I think Larson's a fair. Is it like I can't not let you pick Larson, right? Trucks though, what do you think on the truck side?
I went Christian Eckes.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh, what is
I
that
like that.
reaction?
No, I don't know. I just hadn't thought about Christian. I don't think it's a bad pick. Like I would go Corey Heim.
Okay.
But like I think in the same vein. I just hadn't thought about really like what I've seen Christian do yet, you know, beyond too much like when I was thinking Cup side. But you're right, that's a good pick. I mean, I just hadn't thought about him. Okay, and then weekly series. Like this is where we're gonna get hung up because what can constitutes as weekly series.
Yeah, what are we defining as?
Okay, look, I'm gonna be that girl. I'm gonna be that girl real quick and give a shout out to my people on the modified side and say I'm gonna throw a bone over and say Justin Bonsignor, just for the fun of being like, this is a true weekly series driver, because Justin Bonsignor, he's a modified series multi-time champion in that series. He actually had the opportunity to make his Xfinity series debut this year at Loudon and ran incredibly well for never having been in that car. So look, am I sitting here saying that like throw him in a cup car and let's like, you know, ride the Justin Bonsignor train? No. But if we're playing this little game here of building our team, yeah, I'm going to throw a bone over to my modified guy and say, JB. That's my pick.
Gosh, what are we counting? Sorry, what are we counting as a? What is defining a weekly series? Like, can I pick someone from? I guess Arca doesn't count, does it? Because I'd just be silly. But like,
I mean,
like, can I pick the West? Does it? I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get into contention, but I was gonna pick Isabella Robusto.
I like that pick. I love that pick, actually. Good pick.
Toyota is investing a lot. She's really good at road courses. She did Toyota GR86 before she got injured, and she was crushing it. Oh my gosh, she was so good. And she's had a pretty good turnout in the West Series, like third, sixth. I think she got 17th a couple of weeks ago, but I think she's developing very, very well, and it'd just be easy to yoink, put her to Toyota going through, climbing up. So.
She races hard too. I'm really excited to watch her continue to develop because you're right. Like she's out there, she's learning, and she's learning just as much as everybody else is. Like she's willing to go out there and push as hard as everybody else around her. Yeah, I like her a lot.
I like her as well because you mentioned she races hard, but I think similar to SVG, she'll like get out of the car and she'll be like, "Yeah, I lost," and like, or like I didn't do, or like I messed up that move, and like smile about it, and she'll be like,
sure.
"Yeah, it was no fault, but like my own. I should have done this instead of this. Totally understand. Like I got no beef. I'm gonna go keep racing." Like it's very like we're here to race and have a good time, and I understand like what I need to fix afterwards and go from there. So I always appreciate this.
And yeah, that's where she'll be a great spokesperson for the sport. Like she'll be a really good outspoken person because we'll be able to see her battle really hard on the track, but then she has a level head on her shoulders, and we need some of those.
Yeah. Look, you could be a good person and a level head and still have a personality. I don't know why people always think we need like a ham or a villain to have some personality in motorsports, but you could just be one, good at your job. Have a clean restart. I will shout you out if you restart cleanly at Bristol. I will denote everyone who's like, "Oh, this guy didn't do anything stupid," and write that down. So it could work out for you.
Do you want any more questions? Because I have a couple repeats that might be fun to run through. Okay. A couple people asked all-time favorite paint scheme.
Ooh,
which is really tough.
Yeah,
that's like a really tough, like I'd really have to put some thought into that because I have so many for different reasons. But I will say this is definitely not my all-time favorite, but it came to mind like off the top. The All-Star race, Kevin Harvick, Busch Light Millennial car from a couple years ago. I, for whatever reason, will never forget that car. It quite literally said yeet across the back bumper. I bought the t-shirt. It was very funny. It was a very, very funny car. And as a millennial, although I don't quite identify much as a millennial, I think I like identify more as like a zillennial, you know? I'm a little more like I'm a millennial, but like I have a TikTok, you know? So I think that like makes me fall somewhere in there. But truly, that one made me giggle. But it's definitely not my all-time fave.
Yeah, that's hard to pick from old time faves because like because I like Star Wars. I like the Star Wars Bubba Wallace collaboration. I think that was fun, and the merch was fun from that too. And seeing those cars in person, so I loved a little collaboration. I do have Haley Deegan's truck for Women of NASCAR. Our producer's name is on there, so that's always fun. So Those two are my favorites. I'm sure there's plenty that I'm missing that someone's about to angrily text me. Of course, Build Submarines. If you want to build a submarine, that's available to you. Don't make me shout out the conspiracy again. That's all good. Kurt Busch's me car at Talladega, says NASCAR fan in the chat.
Which one?
Kurt Busch's me car at Talladega.
Oh, with the what do you call it? The Bobcat on the front.
Ah, yes. What a
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
I want to go fast on the back.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, we'll have to follow back on that one because I'm gonna have to think this week about favorite paint schemes. I feel like some will start to like hit me, but I feel like I'm very put on the spot with that.
Just to say like one paint scheme of all time is just difficult because at some point the cars just looked differently. So different paint schemes look different on different cars and all that other stuff. So I'm gonna go with just the modern Star Wars one because I think it's a cool collaboration and Bubba Wallace got to meet Mark Hamill.
Okay. Do you want more questions? Maybe like one more? Oh, actually 2 more because quickly. This person said, are we going to get a day at the race shop again? And I want to bring this up because, Ash, I don't know if you're familiar with this video. Last night, I scratched a very, very scary nostalgia part of your brain. You ever do that where you like hear a song or something and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm 6 again? Like it was like really weird. So in like 1993, I think it was, there was a kids VHS put out called A Day at the Race Shop, and my dad hosted it, and it was basically it's like 25 minutes long or something like that, and it's literally just like him going around showing you how you build a race car, which, side note, was very funny to sit down and watch them build a race car now and be like, yeah, we don't do any of that anymore. Like, very different process nowadays to building a car. But I watched it last night and it was wild because I totally grew up watching this video. It had like children's songs and all this stuff. And I just want to know if anybody else like remembers this video or if that scratches any nostalgia for anyone else, because I also thinking about remaking it in a 2024 capacity. Yep. So just wanted to throw that out there. If there's anybody that would be interested in that, I would like to hear from you.
We will, yeah, absolutely. We'll play it on the stream. Upload it on the YouTube. Done.
Quite funny. So just throwing that on the table there. If anybody was a Day at the Race Shop fan, it's on YouTube to watch right now. So all 22 minutes of it. Okay, real question here though. Do you have a favorite moment at a racetrack? And I'll be like broad for you, Ash, because you go to lots of different racetracks and lots of different series. Do you have a moment that stands out to you?
Oof, that's gonna be hard if we're gonna include all of the race series I've been a part of. I mean, we could do per series really quickly. Phoenix. I was just when you get that feeling of all the cars coming by at the first lap all bunched together and you feel like the wind afterwards, it just sounds sick. It just feels cool. And I absolutely, and that's for every race. It doesn't have to just be Phoenix, but I remember being at Phoenix when that happened and I was just like, you have to get people to the track to experience something like that. And it is the coolest. You can feel it in your chest. It was just awesome. Yeah. I absolutely loved it. Spa 24, just being there, because watching Spa throughout my entire life, I've always wanted to go to Belgium and go to that track. And I was able to go with the SRO for the Spa 24 hours. So that was absolutely stunning. And just having a feeling, because they have like an EDM concert on whatever, on the bottom of Eau Rouge. So I was able to get on stage with the DJ at the time. I think was it Martin Garrix? I think it was Martin Garrix was playing. So I was able to go on the stage behind him.
Cool.
And you see the cars going up Eau Rouge. And I was like, this is sick. This is awesome. I will never forget that. That's one of my favorite sports car racing moments to remember that. So those are probably
so cool.
Ones. Yeah. Which is a lot, because I've been to Barcelona with F1 this weekend, this year, and I was able to interview like Max, and everyone's like, that was probably really cool. And I was like, yeah, but he's like also a normal dude, you know, like we were just able to have like a car chat and stuff. I think just taking myself out of the moment for a second and being like, holy bejesus, this is awesome, was being on that stage, seeing the race cars, like people doing their job, getting paid thousands of dollars to race these cars, and I'm on the stage with this DJ having a great time. So how about yourself?
That is it. You're right. It is tough. Like, it's tough to kind of think through. I think when you mentioned like the feeling the cars at Phoenix, my brain goes to the driving through the tunnel in Daytona 500 weekend for the first time. That feeling, like first week of the year, first race of the year, you're getting ready, driving through the tunnel. It's like doesn't matter how many times I've done it. I get a little teary-eyed. It's just like there's something about it that you're just like, okay, let's go. Like, let's do this. We're here. We're at Daytona. New season. Let's rock and roll. It's the best feeling in the world. But more, let me think. More like personally, I'd probably. Actually, someone asked me about this, and so this will kind of answer another question too. I got the opportunity last year to go to Germany and go to a Euro Series race at Oschersleben, which was super cool. I won't get into all the details of how that worked out, but I came up in NASCAR through the international department, so to be able to kind of like bring that full circle and go talk to a lot of international race fans and see like how they do it over there, that was super sick. I would love to go back. Somebody asked me because they're racing at Oschersleben this weekend, so they asked me if I'd be back, and I was like, no, I won't. But like, I would love to go to another Euro Series race because it was, I mean, they're hardcore NASCAR fans over there. Like they show up, they love it. And it was America themed weekend was the race weekend. So I kept joking that I swear I was the token American at the racetrack that weekend. Like they had me carrying the American flag around. I was like, guys, this is truly like, it was a lot, but it was a really cool weekend. Like it's very funny.
It's like when F1 comes to Austin and suddenly it's like we're America's only cowboys and cattle, and I was just like, what is this? What everyone thinks that we are? I was like, this is so interesting.
Yes, it is.
Really doubling down on the Texas part of it, and I was like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got? Second fave moment watching Martinsville Xfinity race in the stands with Noah Gragson after he moved to Cup. My moment being at Martinsville 2017 with my dad watching my fave Dale Jr. win. Oh, that's awesome, Brandon.
That's awesome.
Seeing your favorite driver win at a racetrack is something that like that's awesome. Watching it on TV is always good, but then like being there, you're like, I got to witness this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good feeling. So
what I think is cool too, in the same vein, is the same stories of people that were at a race and got to witness a driver win, and then that became their favorite driver. I love those stories too, of being like, like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I got to see this awesome finish, or I had this awesome day at the racetrack, and because of that, I love, this person that won that day. I love those stories.
And then, Jesse, did you pick your final four for Phoenix?
Oh God. Okay. Shoot. No, I didn't. Hold on. Let's pull up the points. Where are we? We're going to Bristol. Good Lord.
Why are you thinking about this? Just go off vibes, please.
Just go off vibes. It's the NASCAR playoffs. Just go off vibes.
What could have possibly happened? I'm just
Come
kidding.
on.
Shout out to Ryan Vargas. He's been showing a lot about the NASCAR Euro Series, and it's great to see so many people who like come out and like seeing those podium celebrations and stuff. When Ryan's there, behind the scenes, I was like, oh wow.
That's who I went with. Was Vargas. Him and I went last year together to Oschersleben. That was his first Euro Series race. Yeah, it was really cool. So the both of us got to go like experience it together. It was super sweet. Okay, I'm looking at the bubble right now. Oh goodness. Championship 4. Kyle Larson.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm treating this like it's my life's decision. This is my job. I do this all the time. I know. The chat's scaring me now. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried I'm going to make one wrong move and they're going to be like, Canner. Okay. So where was I? How many had I picked? One? Okay. Kyle Larson. I'm going to throw Willie B in there. Let's throw Willie B. Yeah. Bell.
I do like Bell. I should have picked Bell too.
Love Bell because I think he continues to be kind of the consistent under the radar, and he does well at places like Bristol. So I think he's fine on points right now. Fine being 46 above, whatever. Last but not least, I'm gonna go with what do I got? I got a Toyota. I got 2. Let's go with Blaney. I'm gonna go with Blaney.
Okay, I like Blaney.
Yeah, it's my pick.
All right, so she picked Larson, Willie B, Bell, and Blaney. I have Blaney, Elliott, Hamlin, and Larson and NASCAR. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Our producer from last week, Nick, / the script writer for the whole entire season, picked Larson, Bell, Reddick, and Blaney. So if NASCAR is correct, we can put on our tinfoil hats and make fun of Nick for putting that out there in the universe. But those are everyone's top 4 picks. So it goes, any prediction with Joey Logano in it is an L. Man, people have really strong feelings about Joey Logano. That's the only driver that's been consistently brought up today. And usually it's Denny Hamlin, but today, Joey Logano.
I will say, Andrew did compliment his hair. My friend Higgy on the YouTube stream. Yeah, he texted me. He was like, "That's me, by the way." So yeah. So we don't all hate on Joey. We did say that he has a nice head of hair.
Larson, Reddick, Bell, Blaney, says Andrew. Ben says Reddick, Larson, Byron, Hamlin, if he doesn't choke. If.
I'm just not gonna.
How many points was it that he's down?
He is currently only 6 below.
Oh.
Yeah, but we do have a long rest of the playoffs.
That's true, to the final 4. Let's see how many people are right or wrong. I'm going to keep this posted, though, on my computer screen. Well, chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us as we talked about Watkins Glen and we previewed Bristol. We'll be back next week at the same time, same place with myself and J Punch here. We'll be talking about Bristol and then previewing the next round of the playoffs per usual. So you got knocked out. See if our final 4, if everyone's made it from everyone's predictions, and you can consequently make fun of us as per usual. Make sure you tune into all the races. Thanks for being fans of NASCAR. NASCAR, thank you so much for having us. And J Punch, thank you so much for being with us. And
thanks for having me.
Continue being with us for the rest of the year. Yeah, no, I absolutely love having you here.
You guys are stuck with me.
Woo! Chat. Appreciate it. We will see you next week at 1 p.m. Eastern. Be there, be square, because you're not around. Shout out to our producer, Rachel. And thank you, NASCAR, for having us. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the races.
Hey, I'm Parker Kligerman, and you're watching the NASCAR Twitch channel. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to NASCAR on Twitch.
I'm Ryan Flores. Join Kim Kuhn and myself each and every week at Around the Track. We'll get you ready for the upcoming race weekends from short tracks to the Cup Series, whether you'll be attending in person or watching from home.
Coming your way each week is the best bets to win some easy money and driver suggestions to help pump up your fantasy lineups. Around the Track also tells you what to watch for in the NASCAR Regional Series and which young phenom drivers to keep your eye on.
Plus, our At Traction segment gives you all of the fan activities, concerts, and tailgating fun at the track. Be sure to check out Around the Track each and every Wednesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Join Todd Gordon and myself each week for NASCAR Inside the Race. We'll break down exactly how the race was won.
Plus, we'll dive into the data and go in depth on race strategies, penalties, and rule changes.
Catch NASCAR Inside the Race presented by Consumer Cellular each Tuesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Hey guys, I'm Corey the Joy Driver, the number 7 car. Join my buddy Ryan Flores. Every week we stack some pennies. Talk about NASCAR Cup Series right out of my windshield.
Plus, we'll give out the dogs of the week for the best pit crews and pit crew guys from the weekend. We'll break down all the money stops, all the woes, get into some technical issues, and we'll also answer all of your hashtag Penny for Your Thoughts questions.
And we have a ton of guests. Sometimes SVG pops by. We got Raja. We have all sorts of guys. You never know who's going to pop in the Nonsense Garage, but make sure you tune in SiriusXM on Tuesdays, YouTube on Wednesdays.